And now, coming to you live from the back of the school bus, this is Half-Baked News with your half-serious host, Mark Herr.
Welcome to Half-Baked News on behalf of Center for Self-Governance. I'm Mark Herr. I'm here with Diane Hardy from South Carolina, CSG student, business owner extraordinaire, doing amazing things in her state and for her community. Diane, welcome.
Thank you, Mark.
So Diane, we wanted to talk to you today about, just in your own words, how has CSG, or Center for Self-Governance, influenced your life or empowered you to do some of the things, amazing things you're doing in your state for your community?
Well, Mark, that's a big question. It's done so many things in many different areas. Politically, it's helped me have the confidence to put on a conference that we did, a statewide conference that we've done the last 5 years. I really think that the training empowered me enough to give me the confidence to take that on, which is something I've never ever done before. And I don't think I would have done that had I not had the CSG training. But it's more than just politically. It's helped me in my business. It gave me the confidence to purchase a franchise and open a small business. And, the team building and leadership that I learned through Center for Self-Governance has just been incredible. Part of what you do in Center for Self-Governance is you build a team of citizens, and building a small team when they're not getting paid and learning those skills and the leadership skills that CSG helped me develop is really helpful when you're going to build an actual team, a business team. And it's much easier to build a team when you're actually paying people. So if you can do a team when people aren't getting paid, like we did with our CSG team, then those skills really help you to build a team for a business. It empowered me in ways of really recognizing, of course, I always knew that relationship building was extremely important in life, but CSG really honed in on that and helped me in how to build those relationships. So it gave me the wherewithal to build the relationships before I even opened the business, to know that I should be going down to City Hall and getting to know the people who work there before I apply for my permits. I wouldn't have thought to do that had I not had the CSG training. And it really did help me when it came down to opening the business.
Would you mind sharing a little bit about some of the challenges you had to face in opening your business? But I mean, obviously the training helped you overcome some of those hurdles. And then could you describe how most people will not go through those hurdles because they don't know the system? You know what I mean? Can you kind of touch on that a little bit?
Yes, I mean, with CSG helping me understand the system ahead of time really helped. So what I did is I would go down to City Hall and get to know the folks down there, because I knew that it was going to be a real challenge to get a certificate of occupancy. I'd heard the stories of what happens in our city and that it would be difficult. And going down there and meeting them ahead of time and letting them know what I'm going to be doing and bringing them a little bit of free product was, I think, a good idea. And I don't know if I would have thought to do that had it not been for the CSG training. So in doing that, I did get to know them, and I had their business cards way ahead of time. And then when I did run into a real big snag that potentially could have delayed my opening for many months, I used my CSG skills, having already formed that relationship with one of the unelected officials, and knowing how to best write a letter to him, an email, from using my CSG skills. I was able to get approval within hours that it looked like was not going to happen for many, many months. But I think between the relationship building and then the messaging of how to write that email and what to say from the CSG training really helped me overcome that hurdle that could have potentially been a disaster.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing that you were able to, because you learned the system, you built the relations, and then you were able to leverage the relationship to to actually move forward in your business. And something that struck me a few years ago when you were first getting ready to do this, you said, I never would have thought to run my own business on my own or franchise or something like that. But you said the thing that struck me was more than that was you said, I want to do this in order to increase my self-governance. Can you expound on that a little?
Yes, well, I mean, and that was a piece of it. Self-governance, once you become a business owner, and you can just build that many more relationships, and so your self-governance can expand exponentially when you have that ability of being a business owner in the community and meeting so many more people and building more relationships. You're involved now in women's networking groups and very small business owners groups, and all of that has helped created more influence in my self-governance.
Wow, that's
helped it grow.
That's incredible. Something I noticed, I was recently there in South Carolina. You and your team had invited me out there to speak and do some training and things. And one of the things that you did that was very striking to me was you had a dinner at your home for many different legislators. And number one, that was striking. Number two, that was striking is that it was a nonpartisan affair, and your team was there, members from the community were there, and the legislators were there, and it was this nonpartisan moment where they ate together, and then they started conversing about their state as a whole. Can you talk about that a little bit? I know it's a lot to unpack, but it was quite fascinating to me. And when you're finished, I'd like to just kind of briefly bring in a historical figure that it reminded me of.
Okay, sure, Mark. Yeah, so that was an experiment we wanted to try. We have a small team of citizens who've taken the self-governance training at various levels, and I think there were about a half dozen of us now, and we had this idea of maybe hosting a dinner party to get to know our elected officials in relationship building. And kind of, we weren't sure if they would even come. I mean, why would they? Their schedules, as you can imagine, are jam-packed, and these aren't necessarily elected officials that I've given any money to, and some of them I didn't even know. But we worked together as a team as to how to write the invitation and reach out to them, and we invited them, and we really focused it on appreciation for them, their work, and that we are just citizens of self-governance, wanted to have this be a social time for us to get to know each other better. And we were shocked that 14 out of the 16 or 17 that we invited did come, and along with our sheriff and a couple other citizens that we invited. And so we just had a fantastic dinner together. We spoke some about our state, but it was really not a political dinner at all. It was truly relationship building. We were talking about everything from basketball to funny stories that have happened in the State House it was really just, it was a great time, and people stayed a lot longer than I expected they would. And it really helped with their bonding. They enjoyed getting to meet together outside of the eyes of leadership. And so it was really a great evening all the way around, I thought.
Yeah, it was pretty impactful. It reminded me of a scenario back in the 18th century with a lady named Elizabeth Powell, who was in her community and wanted to exercise influence, and she would regularly have governing, whether they were elected, appointed, or employed, to her home for dinner, and would discuss and build relations. And it had an impact on her throughout her whole life. And anyway, your dinner reminded me of that, and I thought it was pretty cool to see that happening again in the 21st century. It wasn't just something that occurred back then. So where does it go from here now that you've opened your business? You're expanding your self-governance. You've increasing your size of your team and your relationships. Where does it go from here?
Well, we're continuing to expand our relationships. We just was talking to one of the senators that attended the dinner this morning, and asked him, what can we do to help you? And he gave us some research project that would be helpful to them. And he was actually the second legislator who asked for the same topic. So as a team, we're going to be working on that, continuing to get together. We are meeting with the legislators. They are coming to our house, to my house again for dinner, and we are going to be hosting a class through the Center for Self-Governance. Mark's going to be teaching a class on the state constitution for those for our elected officials, and they're going to be coming to our home again and serve dinner, and we're going to have a great training session. They were looking forward to it. It was something they asked for, and we're just thrilled. And you know, I think it's great because I think CSG is found a void in that these elected officials, they either have the lobbyists, they have each other, they have the lobbyists who are all very nice to them, and other special interest groups that have an agenda. And then they have citizens that usually only reach out to them when they want something or they're mad at them. And so for them, they are just loving to have citizens that are there, that have their back, that are willing to help them and get to know them as people. Because they, you know, it was always interesting to me, the level 1 homework for CSG, where you go and meet with an elected official and you don't bring up your topics or your issues or your agenda, you just get to know them. And every time I've done that, when I try to meet with them, they're like, well, I'm really busy and, you know, I don't know if I have time. And then I'll say, it's just 10 minutes. It's just something I need to do as a homework assignment for this civics class, this civics training. And when we meet, and because I ask them about them, often I'm there 90 minutes later, we're still talking, because they never get to have that opportunity to have someone take an interest in them as people. And it is really amazing once you learn all the different issues that they're supposed to vote on, and they really don't have the time to become educated on all of them. And so they're very easily influenced by outside groups that have agendas. And we're just citizens. I never push my own agenda or my own issue ever. I'm just trying to find out what they need, what can we help them with so they can make more informed decisions.
Do you find, that's such an interesting point you bring up, do you find that is it hard for you to keep your issue and your agenda at bay because of the influence that is brought to the table by having the relationship? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I can see where people will be like, well, I've only got them for everybody else has got their ear and I've got their ear, so now I've got to push my issue and my agenda. Do you find that a struggle?
I think some people might. I don't know. I personally don't that much. I will say that my agenda is more globally just economic and personal freedom and maintaining the Republic as the founders envisioned it to function. So my agenda is more about the system and the functioning of the system as a whole rather than any particular topics. So I don't really care about a certain issue or topic as much as I do about the maintenance of the whole structure.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty profound. And I think that I'd like to come back with what you just said to something you said at the very beginning. You mentioned the Palmetto Panel at this event that you've been putting on for 5 years. And what's the significance of that event and what you were intending or hoping to accomplish with that?
Yes, that's a conference that we put on, and we live in the northern part of the state, and even that has evolved as my training has evolved. You know, before I took the Center for Self-Governance training, I honestly couldn't have really articulated to you the difference between a democracy and a republic. I knew they were different, but I didn't really know how. I really would have, before I took the training, I would have said to you that Republican and Democrat, that's like part of the government itself. And I just learned so much about it, and that I should have known as a citizen, and I didn't know. And so when the Palmetto Panel started, it was a little more issue focused. It was about certain issues that all having to do with economic and personal freedom. But as it's grown, it's more about the relationship building. It was originally going to be the legislators talking to us, and now they are actually coming to us for information. So right. So it's legislators come to the conference and citizens, and we take on various topics. We bring in expert experts in various topics. Could be free speech on college campuses for both the left and the right, for the students and for the professors. It could be protecting our electrical grid. It could be healthcare options and what's out there. But we never push any particular try and push any necessarily one topic or issue.
That's very, very interesting. So you've opened up a business to expand your self-governance. You're now building these relationships both with citizens from your community, building a team that's focused on the system and leveraging that knowledge to build relationships. And you've got legislators now calling you guys for information. That's pretty impactful.
Yes, we've had, and it's been, in the past, I've had legislators come and ask us to join them at events, to be with them, because they said, you know more about this topic than I do. Would you please come with me? We've had them ask for our help on looking across the country to see what other states are doing. So it's really, really fun when you're working with them. And then another thing I wanted to say about Palmetto Panel is, excuse me, it's not just about the conference itself. The night before, we hold a dinner with all of the speakers for Palmetto Panel. And so it's for them to network and get to know each other. And I love just sitting back and watching that happen. And so that they can form relationships and help each other in the future and get to know each other. And then we also have the Center for Self-Governance training the day after. And then we do encourage the speakers, most of our speakers, almost all of them, I mean, occasionally, like we had Senator Jim DeMint, he couldn't stay, but most of our speakers will stay throughout the day. And that is so that there's the networking between the citizens, the elected officials, and the speakers. So you could just sit and have lunch with any of our speakers because they're going to be there. So the Center for Self-Governance training even influenced the way that event was structured, so that there was the networking time and the relationship building time built into it. So it wasn't just that you come and sit in a lecture and then they leave and you never meet the speakers.
So if you could sum this up, you, for the average person who's trying to either get by, or they're raising kids, or they're just not interested in politics at all, or they see politics as kind of a dirty game, like, you know what I mean, like dirty bathwater, they don't want to get into it, what would you say to them after saying all of this? I mean, it sounds extremely impactful, but what would you say to them?
Yes, I would say that it can be really impactful on many levels. I will say that it did take a little bit of time. I had to take the level 1 class several times because I kind of had to unlearn the way I was viewing my role as a citizen and my role in how our government runs. I really had to undo a lot of what my training or thinking was. So it does take a little bit of time to take the training. The training is more streamlined now, and the classes are shorter, so I think that's easier. If you can form a team and work with other people, that is wonderful, because you can gain skills from other people on your team that maybe you don't have, so you don't feel like you have to do it all. And when you have a team, you don't put in that many hours, really, because we meet every other week, and then we put in a couple hours a week, maybe at the most. So the fun part of it is being part of a team and getting to use your God-given gifts. Like, there are people on our team that are phenomenal with writing and research, and that's not as much my gift, but my gift is more relationship building. And so when you all work together, it's wonderful when you put it together, the impact you can have.
So it's really bringing people, like you said, I kind of liked how you started this, is if you can bring a bunch of people who aren't paid together to do these things, it has an impact on your economic business things. I'm just curious, any impact on family life and relationships in family?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it helps you, it helps me to take a step back, not be emotional, and listen. And that helps you in everything in life. And that was stressed when you kind of, when you do that level 1 and you learn to pull your emotions, your agenda out of the picture. and just really hear the other person. I mean, that works in everything. And it's been great with my employees. People are always asking me, how is it that you don't seem to have the turnover with employees and the trouble finding employees that, in this job market where it's very hard to find workers right now. And the other, I belong to a franchise that's across the country, and in talking to other franchisees, they're all just, oh my gosh, I don't have enough workers, and I have almost too many. I mean, they're great. I get them and they stay, and it's a wonderful problem to have. So, and I think part of that was the CSG training and learning to build a team and learning to hear them and getting to know them. Has really helped, where they often say, I don't want to leave because this is really, and it's not that I'm paying more. I'm not paying more than any of the other franchises.
And you don't expect less.
No, I don't expect less, but because of the way I've been able to build the relationships with them, they are willing to they are loyal, and they're willing to do actually extra for me that sometimes I don't even ask for.
That's the one gold thread that I'm taking away from our time together now is that you see the legislators as people, and you see your employees as people. And that seems to be the main golden thread I'm getting from what you're saying. And that in addition to that is building the relationship with both of them sounds like, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm trying to reiterate what I've got from this today is learning to see them, hear them, and build a relationship with them. And second is related to the government, is you're not using the legislators for your agenda or your issue. But at the same time, it's interesting because your agenda and your issue is getting taken care of in that level, and your business is getting taken care of at that level.
Yes.
So
yeah.
That's the thread I got out of what you've told me today, is all of these things you've done and things you've learned, is relationships, seeing them as people, both the legislators and people who work for you. And that for some reason you're able to accomplish more than others are who are trying to do the same thing. It's a different outcome.
Yes, exactly. I think that's it precisely. Yes, I think you summed it up really well. And it helps me in my personal life. It helps me in my business life. And it's definitely helped me with, the very first issue that our team took on years ago that we won as a team did not come from us. We asked for county council members to lunch. We didn't know them, but we heard that they were nice people to work with. So we contacted them and said, you don't know us, but we'd love to meet for lunch. And we asked them, we said, we've not been involved on the local level. We have no idea what's really happening in our county. What do you see as topics of concern? And is there anything we could help you with if we were willing to donate some time to y'all? And they told us an issue that they were very concerned about. And we were able to do the research. We were able to write some op-eds. And this is different team members. We have a team member who loves to write op-eds. So we were able to speak publicly. We pulled together a town hall, and we also got on the radio some about this issue that the county council told us about. Yeah. And in the end, we won, and it was huge because we defeated a Goliath of an issue. I don't really want to get into the details of what it was, but I can tell you that it was a Goliath, and it was put forth by a very, very huge, well-paid, well-funded, multi-million-dollar organization. But it was not going to be in the citizens' best interest and that's what these county council members were concerned about. And it was great because didn't come from us; it came from them. Wow.
But you were able, relationships, learning the system, leveraging those relationships, and now it really does seem like you are expanding your self-governance in South Carolina.
Yes, it's been great. I'm happy. It's taken some time. It's taken some effort on my part, but it's definitely paid off.
And you'd say it's worth it then? the time it takes and the going through these hurdles of changing the way you think and undoing and unpacking some of your habits and stuff.
Yes, I would say it's definitely worth it. Yes. I mean, it does take a little bit of time and some effort, but in the long run, and there's a woman on our team who, she said, I just want to get back. She took a hiatus from the team and she said, I just want to get back on. She says, I've never had so much fun. So, like, if you have been doing political stuff, sometimes it can be kind of exhausting and defeating, and you get burnt out. And when you're practicing self-governance, you really don't get burnout because it's just really, I don't know, it's a positive energy that grows.
That's pretty powerful. Diane Hardy from South Carolina. Well, what do you, I guess what we'll do is we'll have to check in with you in some time to see how much further, because it's like, how far does self-governance go? That's what I want to know in the state of South Carolina. So super excited for you guys, and thanks for taking your time to talk with us today.
Well, thank you, Mark, and thank you to Center for Self-Governance. As you can tell, it's been very impactful and has really empowered me. So thank you so much to you and your organization and all the effort you've put forth.
Yeah, we if you guys want more information about what Center for Self-Governance does, you can go to the website centerforselfgovernance.com. We're on all of the social media platforms, from the mainstream to the alternative, and you can follow and watch any of our YouTube documentaries on our YouTube channel, Center for Self-Governance. On behalf of Center for Self-Governance and Half Baked News, this was Mark Herr. See you next time.